Sometimes life demands that we experience specific situations that ultimately provide us with a specific set of emotions, with specific thoughts, in order to prepare us for what's coming next in our life, in order to prepare us for the next stage in our lives, based on our grand intention, based on your grand intention. So, depending on what you feel deeply called to, based on that deep calling from within you, everything that happens in life, all the experiences that you are presented with in life, are aiding in you healing and unblocking what's necessary to get you closer to that intention, to get you closer to that purpose, to that calling. But it's what we do, unfortunately, that ends up delaying this whole process. How we react, how we think, how we feel is what ends up delaying our breakthrough much longer than necessary. That delays our reality shifting much longer than necessary. And that's because there are things that you need to let go of. There are things that you need to adopt. There are things that you need to heal in order for you to get closer to that vision of yours, that calling that's coming from deep within. So imagine this for a second. Imagine if you want to manifest $1 million or $10 million, or simply financial freedom, to have the ability, the freedom to buy whatever whenever you want, to do whatever you want whenever you want, to go wherever you want whenever you want. But also you have spending problems, you have money problems, you have a habit of losing any money that gets in your account. You live paycheck to paycheck, and that's addictive to you. And whenever you have some money leftover money, you tend to spend it in whatever addictive habits, in whatever patterns you feel you need to. And so what that means is that once you end up manifesting, even if you end up manifesting that million or 10 million, or that financial stability, financial freedom, which is ultimately what you are actually seeking out of, regardless whatever amount of money you're trying to manifest, it is your true pursuit. It's the financial freedom out of any money. Even if you end up manifesting that amount of money, you will end up losing it, and you will not have succeeded to create that financial freedom for yourself. So what's the point in getting there before you're even ready? Imagine whenever you feel loved and trusted by someone in a relationship, you end up pulling out because you're not used to a healthy relationship. You're only used to a toxic relationship. And whenever someone loves you unconditionally, you feel that something is gonna go wrong, that it's all a manipulation, that there's something absolutely wrong with this whole scenario, with this whole situation, and you need to just you cut yourself out, you shut down, and you pull out of that relationship. So what's the point in manifesting an unconditional loving relationship before healing that aspect of yourself, before tending to the blockages that are keeping you from actually being able to see the beauty, to sit through a loving, healthy relationship? Or if you want to start that business, but you are a perfectionist and you have controlling problems, you need to control every aspect of your life, otherwise you cannot take another step towards that thing. If you cannot control that thing, if you're not sure of all of the aspects included in one scenario, then you do not act upon it, then you do not react to it, then you do not want to get to it. But also you're envisioning that amazing business idea that you want to start. So what's the point if you start? Because there are many aspects in business that you cannot control, that are not under your control. And if whenever things are not under your control, you tend to pull out, you tend to freak out and feel completely threatened, and end up messing up the whole thing. And then if you are a perfectionist, you also cannot take a step, if there's something that seems fishy, or it's not absolutely accurate, or it's not absolutely up to your standards, then you won't take a step towards it. Then you're gonna create a crippling business rather. And so there's no point in actually doing all of those things if you do not face the experiences externally that calls you to heal and unblock through those blockages that are preventing you from arriving at your destination, from getting to your purpose, from living a meaningful purpose life, regardless of whatever it is to you. And as such, I want to give you a brief explanation of how the struggle is created, of how any of the suffering is created, of how any of this resisting experiences, the experience of how any of those experiences we end up rejecting and resist so much gets created. I want to give you a brief explanation on the creation of suffering, of distressful experiences, how you end up creating them in your life, rather than thinking that life is actually doing all of this to you. Because in reality, with all being said, with everything I've said, it is you that's actually creating, who's actually creating those experiences, who's actually calling into this distressful experience that's going to teach you that lesson, which is ultimately going to prepare you for what's coming next in your life, for what you're truly seeking out of life. So imagine this for a second, and listen to this throughout, because it's only gonna make sense if you absorb the whole explanation. And towards the end, you're gonna be presented with two options to eliminate the suffering, or to at least hasten your journey through it and make it an effortless, seamless experience, rather than a completely destructive, distressful experience. So imagine this for a second. Imagine that you have a grand intention. Imagine your grand intention. Imagine this deep calling that's coming from within you. Imagine all of those dream realities that you've been envisioning in your mind, and you've been living through the hope of actually one day arriving there. But all of the work that's been invested towards that thing up to this point is just mental. That's how anything starts out. That's how your purposeful, meaningful life starts out, as a mental image. And so I want you to imagine, whatever that is for you, and then think about your current reality. If you have this set vision for the future, if you have this dream reality set for your future, this purposeful, meaningful calling of yours, but currently you are living, within the comforts of a typical life, of a routine life, which is, you have a paying job, you have perhaps a small apartment, a cozy little apartment. You're living within this little comfortable bubble of yours, with all of the things familiar. Perhaps you have, a healthy partner, a loving partner, and you're living, but you feel so unfulfilled, and you created this purpose calling towards the future. You received this calling towards your future, which makes you fill with life and love anytime you imagine it. And so you know it, you have it in your mind as your future. This is your dream reality, and this is what's gonna make you feel fulfilled and content and blissful and joyful and loving, the most. And that's what's gonna make you able to be in service to others the most, whether because it's gonna really make you feel fulfilled and loving to yourself, and as such you're gonna be able to give that to others, or whether even that calling is related to being in service for others, to others, like opening a place that's gonna help many people across the world, or becoming a therapist or a coach, or whatever it is for you. Now, you're having this grand intention in your mind, yet choosing to remain stagnant for the comforts that's being offered to you currently by your current reality is what creates any other third experience. Because you're living mentally, your momentum, your emotional and mental momentum is towards a different reality than this which you're living. But your physical momentum, and even perhaps some of your emotional is split between two realities. Your emotional momentum is even invested in your current reality because it gives you stability, because it's familiar, because it's comfortable, and you're living in this split. What you end up creating is an experience, is a completely third experience. It's neither an experience that's aligned with the future, it's neither an experience that aligned with your present or the past, but it's a completely different experience that forces you to make a choice. Now, this experience at first, it's not a distressful one. It's not that of suffering and struggle, but it ends up becoming as such because I'm based on what I'm gonna tell you now in just a moment. But this experience is simply an experience that causes your emotion, a mix up in your emotions and a mix up in your thoughts, and then it threatens your stability somehow. You know, it makes you to think twice about your current reality, about this comfortable reality you're living, and it threatens you in some way. Not yet a terrorizing experience or anything, just a little bit of discomfort here and there that incites some new emotions, some new thoughts, because you are calling into an experience that you're not living up to it, that you're not trying to get to it even. You're always thinking that that experience is gonna happen. Yes, sure, I'll get to it once I'm ready. Perhaps you feel you're not ready, you're not prepared. It requires, you're thinking to yourself, I will get there once, you know, perhaps I have enough saving. I'll start, because I don't want to dip my toes into that unfamiliar zone unless I'm completely perfect, unless everything about my life is very stable and clear and perfect. So you're keeping it as, you know, as something for the future, but your fulfillment is there. You're starting to feel, you know, purposeless and meaningless with this life of yours, with the one you're living now. And you know in your mind that that's your purpose, your meaning is right there, but you're not really doing the work necessary to get you there. You're not shifting anything about yourself internally to align more with that reality. You're not quitting your job, you're not moving cities, you're not meditating to do the healing, you're not healing yourself, you're not healing your fears from that thing actually manifesting. You're not doing the shadow work, understanding the shadow that's blocking you, that serves as an obstacle from you reaching to that reality. You're not doing any of that. And so what happens is life gives you an experience that forces you, in a sense, to do any of those aspects that are gonna make it easier for you to make a choice. Is it that of the future or this of the present that you actually want to live through? Now, when that first happens, we don't know, we're confused, we end up delaying this process, we end up ignoring it, we end up neglecting it because we're scared. We don't really know what's going on. We don't see it for what it is when it first happens. It's just something that mildly terrorizes your survival aspect. And you know, we are by nature trained, believed, programmed to resist any such experience, to reject any such experience whenever it first manifests into our reality, because we don't understand. And that's why it's very important to keep an open mind and an open eye for such experiences whenever they present themselves, because they are gonna get worse. They keep getting worse and worse and worse. The more you ignore them, the more you resist them, yet you maintain your future, your vision for the future. You maintain this contrast between your vision to the future and your current reality, and you remain unfulfilled about your current reality. You remain feeling meaningless and purposeless and needing to change this reality somehow, because you want to take that action. You would love doing the work that gets you towards your vision, your envisioned reality, towards your future, your dream reality. You would love to do that work. You want to do that work. You're passionate, you're excited to do all of that, but you don't want to do it. You're not in a place in which you need to do it, because you're safe, everything is safe, everything's stable, everything's familiar, everything's comfortable, you know, makes sense. And it keeps you stuck. That's the stuck. And if you won't take action when everything is stable and everything is great and happy and, you know, mildly fulfilling, then you, from within your deepest parts, from within your core, you call into an experience that terrorizes this stability of yours, that terrorizes this comfort, in order for you to be forced to work towards something. Or either you work towards your future, you work on the things that are required to unblock you from that future, or you remove that vision of the future altogether. You let go of that future, you give up on it, and you say that you acknowledge it, you affirm it, that this is not the reality you seek out of life, but rather you're gonna remain within this reality that you're living, for the rest of your life, because it's safe and stability, and that's what you want more than anything else. But I believe that this is very hard, and this is almost impossible, because once you awaken your calling, to meaning, to purpose, it's very, very unlikely to let go of it, to give up on it. You might live entire lifetimes without getting there, but living in this distressful experiences. You keep rejecting and resisting and delaying every time the experience happening. Never. Or you take the very slow path, that which makes you have to be presented with tens and tens of such distressful experiences before you're able to fully be prepared internally and externally for that reality, before you are in harmony and alignment with that reality. But what happens is that you creating this experience, now when it first happens, you resist it, you reject it, and that only delays it further. If you take up and suck up whatever it's trying to teach you, whatever it's trying to make you see, whatever it's presenting you with, it's gonna end faster, but we don't want it, because normally it's gonna come in with new things to adopt, and with trying to force you to let go of old things, to let go of old habits, to let go of your control, perhaps to let go of your addiction to social media, to let go of your dependency on being validated externally, on your people pleasing aspect, on your toxicity addictions, or in your toxic traits, or in your narcissistic traits, or on whatever it is. It will be presented with a lesson, and if you simply just give it some thought, you're gonna see the lesson. It is for me to stop doing that. It is for me, even if it's just to make you feel. It wants you to feel. It demands that you feel some buried and shadow aspect of you, some untended emotions, neglected, and that terrified your inner child, who never healed from them. And so it demands that you feel. All that you've got to do is to feel, is to let yourself suck in this experience for all that it is. Feel everything that's coming to you. Let all of this discomfort that's flowing within your body come to the surface. Don't keep burying it and laying down, relying on your coping mechanisms whenever it gets too intense, because that means you are completely rejecting the experience. If the experience is meant to happen to make you feel specific emotions, think specific thoughts, take specific actions, but you disregard all of this and fall back on to the closest coping mechanism you have, it means that this experience never happened. Yet you're gonna experience the suffering and the struggle, and it only keeps getting intense and intense and intense until it terrorizes your entire existence. If you keep resisting and rejecting it much, much, much longer, yet maintaining those two different aspects, this contrast, this split within your identity, within yourself, within your essence. And so your choice is to either let go of this envisioned future, which is almost impossible, and it's much harder than sucking up whatever those experiences have to teach you, or you actually, and once you remove that future from your head, all of those distressful experiences will stop manifesting in your reality. They're stop, because there's no purpose now, there's no meaning for you to learn any of these lessons, to be presented with those revelations or those intuitions or those new thoughts or new emotions that come with those distressful experiences. And so they're gonna disappear from your life, or you actually let them be, suck it all up, feel all of this discomfort, sit still through it, sit yourself down and say, I'm not gonna cope, I'm not gonna avoid them any longer, I want to see what's that all about. What's the worst that could happen? Like I said, something about, in one of my last video, I think, something else is gonna change, something is gonna happen, something else is gonna happen, something is gonna change about your life. And if you're currently unfulfilled, if you're currently feeling meaningless and purposeless, then something changing about your life is not a bad thing. So what's the worst that could happen if you just entertain all of those shadow aspects of yours that are trying to come to the surface? Don't bury them. Feel everything. Think all of those negative thoughts. Think about your past. Feel the badness of all of the trauma that you've lived through. Say all of the things. Shout out loud. Scream out loud. Say all of the things in your mind that you wished you have said it back then through any specific experience. Let it all out from your system. Once you allow it to be felt completely, suck it all up. Sit yourself still through all of it. It's gonna be released. And you're gonna suddenly notice the shift in your reality. Some hints are gonna come through. Something is gonna flow, something is gonna change immediately within your life, with your reality. And then you're gonna understand, oh, that's how things happen. And then it's gonna get more and more effortless after that. But unfortunately, it's not as simple as it made it sound. I had to go through tens. I was that type of person who had to go through tens. Not really tens, not yet, but let's say 4 or 5 major experiences, distressful experiences, dark night of the souls, in other words, before I let go, before I chose to align, before I chose to act upon that calling, to live through this calling, to live through my passion and love rather than through fear. Remaining stuck in my comfortable life because it's fearful to get out of there, because it's fearful, or taking an action simply because I'm in fear of what will happen if I remain in my current reality. It was always out of fear, or out of escaping, or out of avoiding the current reality, escaping the current reality, fear of the future, so I would stay in my current reality, fear of the present, so I would do a stupid thing, not out of passion or love. But then, it took me to the point in which I'm able to live through my power, live through my love, live through my trust, my hope, my faith in who I am, in universe, and how this works, and how life, energy, and the universe works. Thank you so much for tuning into another video by AF's Conscious Frequency. It was a long one, I know, but it clarified some things for you. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, because it helps me so much, and it helps this video find its way to many more others who might actually need it.